From Justin Gaethje doing a backflip to Tai Tuivasa drinking beers out of his shoes, here are some of the most memorable post-fight celebrations. Let's start off with Anderson Silva. This guy is the king of post-fight celebrations. He's won so many fights in the octagon that it's practically impossible to remember all of the wild stuff he's done to celebrate. The man has done it all. Air guitar, moonwalks, even breakdancing. You name it, he's probably tried it. It's like every win is an excuse for him to let loose and have a good time. But his best one yet is definitely when he busted out some MJ moves in the middle of the octagon. Silva's a legend, and his celebrations are just as unforgettable as his fights. Speaking of, this next post-fight celebration is so iconic that athletes from other sports have even copied him. I'm talking about Tito Ortiz. Okay, so Tito Ortiz may have his fair share of haters, but we can all agree on one thing. This dude knows how to celebrate a win. Back in the day when he was crushing it in the octagon, he had a killer move that made him stand out from the rest. After he'd beat his opponent to a pulp, he'd get down on his knees and start digging like he was trying to bury them alive. It might sound creepy, but trust us, it was actually pretty badass. It was like he was saying, I came, I saw, I conquered, who's next? This move became an instant classic and was even adopted by other athletes in different sports as a way to celebrate their own big wins. It was like a symbol of domination, the end of one fight and the start of the hunt for the next challenge. Love him or hate him, you've got to give it up for Tito and his unforgettable post-fight celebration. But now, let's switch gears to another fighter who knows how to put on a show after a victory, Justin Gaethje. If there's one thing you can count on when Justin Gaethje steps into the octagon, it's that you are in for a wild ride. This dude is a straight up brawler and has earned himself the nickname The Highlight for his brutal knockouts and intense fighting style. But it's not just his fights that are entertaining. His post-fight celebrations are just as wild. After he secures a win, he climbs up onto the cage wall and does a freaking backflip. Yeah, you read that right, a backflip. It's the perfect Gaethje kind of crazy way to celebrate, if I'm being honest. Now, you might be thinking, isn't that dangerous? What if he lands wrong? That's a really good question to ask. You don't need to worry though. Somehow, Gaethje manages to stick the landing every time. It's like he's got cat-like reflexes or something. Besides, there are medical professionals everywhere who can get to him if something goes wrong. So if you're ever watching a Gaethje fight, make sure you stick around for the post-fight celebration. Who knows what crazy stunt he'll pull next. Now, there are normal celebrations, and then there's what Tai Tuivasa does after winning a fight. If you're a UFC fan, then you've definitely heard of Tai Tuivasa. This guy is a heavyweight beast with some serious striking skills. But what's even more famous than his fighting style? His shoey trend. So what exactly is a shoey? It's the act of drinking a beer out of a shoe. Yeah, you heard that right. And no, we're not talking about a brand new, fresh out of the box sneaker. We're talking about a shoe that's been worn and sweaty. Gross, right? But for Tai Tuivasa, it's a symbol of celebration. After he wins a fight, he climbs up on top of the cage and gets someone in the crowd to give him a shoe. Then he fills it up with beer and chugs it down like a champ. Some people might find it disgusting, but for Tai and his fans, it's all part of the fun. The shoey has become a signature victory celebration for Tai Tuivasa and has even caught on with some other UFC fighters. It's a unique and memorable way to cap off a win and show the world that you're down for a good time. Now, this next celebration style was first done by Vince McMahon, but it's Conor McGregor's billionaire strut that's the most popular. When it comes to post-fight celebrations, Conor McGregor's billionaire strut is perhaps one of the most iconic in combat sports history. The Irish fighter, known for his brash personality and impressive fighting skills, first introduced his signature move after defeating Chad Mendes in 2015. The billionaire strut is essentially a swaggering walk that exudes confidence and dominance. McGregor starts by raising both arms in the air, then walks with exaggerated steps, pointing and gesturing to the crowd as if to say, "I own this place." It's a move that perfectly captures McGregor's larger-than-life personality. The billionaire strut has become so popular that even other fighters have tried to copy it, with varying degrees of success. But it's McGregor's unique blend of skill, style, and showmanship that makes the move truly unforgettable. And while it's McGregor's strut that's famous, Mark DeCasey's breakdancing is pretty awesome too. DeCasey is a British UFC fighter who has earned himself a reputation for his flashy fighting style and, maybe even more so, his signature post-fight celebration. Whenever he secures a win inside the octagon, he breaks out some serious dance moves and puts on a show for the crowd. DeCasey's celebration has become so popular that fans have even started calling it the Bone Crusher breakdance. It's a fitting name for a fighter who's known for his explosive striking and knockout power. So, if you're ever lucky enough to catch a DeCasey fight, make sure you stick around for the post-fight celebration. You won't be disappointed. But DeCasey isn't the only one who dances after winning a fight. Stipe Miocic does too. Okay, so Miocic might be one of the best heavyweight fighters in MMA history, but let's just say he won't be winning any dance contests anytime soon. After he knocked out Daniel Cormier to become a two-time heavyweight champ at UFC 241 back in 2019, Miocic decided to bust out some kind of funky post-fight dance. And, as it turns out, he blames Will Ferrell for his weird moves. "I kind of Frank the Tanks it," Miocic said, referencing Ferrell's character in the classic comedy Old School. "I just had no idea what I was doing," he admitted. But hey, can you blame the guy? He had just won the heavyweight title and beat one of the best fighters of all time in Cormier. Sometimes, you just have to let loose and celebrate however you can. And for Miocic, that means getting down with his bad self in the octagon. Adrenaline takes over, and the next thing you know, he's busting out some moves that are both cringeworthy and awesome at the same time. But there are cringier dances, like Jamie Varner's chicken worm dance. Okay, so picture this. Jamie Varner just won a fight at UFC 68, and he's feeling himself. He starts doing the chicken dance, then acts like he's going to sleep, and pops back up to do the worm. It was like he couldn't decide which dance move to do, so he just did all of them. Now, I gotta be honest, I thought the worm was a bit much, but you gotta give it up for Varner's creativity. That celebration was straight up ridiculous. He was probably just so hyped up on adrenaline that he couldn't help himself. Either way, his performance in the octagon that night was impressive, and his celebration was unforgettable. And that's all for the most memorable post-fight celebrations.